Good evening, America. Tonight, we turn our eyes once more to the heart of Eastern Europe, to a war that has shaken the global order, tested international alliances, and lit the fuse on a new era of military strategy and humanitarian response. This is not just about borders anymore. This is about resolve, about resilience, about the global fight for democratic values. In a chilling address delivered from the heart of Kiev, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky didn't mince words. He stood before the world, wary but unwavering, and described the latest wave of Russian missile strikes as nothing short of deliberately massive. His voice carried both the pain of a wounded nation and the thunder of unbroken defiance. Russia's overnight blitz targeted cities across Ukraine. Kiev, Lviv, Odessa, Dnipro, over 40 missiles rained down, some of the heaviest bombardments in months. Civilian infrastructure was struck, apartment buildings, power grids, even children's hospitals. The intention, as Zelensky put it, was crystal clear: to break us psychologically, to crush us completely. But they will fail. In the heart of Ukraine, the war isn't just being fought on the front lines, it's being fought in bedrooms, classrooms, and hospital corridors. It's being waged in the minds of children, the hearts of mothers, and the nerves of soldiers and civilians alike. The relentless sound of air raid sirens, the distant but ominous thud of explosions, and the unpredictable rhythm of missile attacks have etched themselves into the daily lives of millions. This is the psychological cost of war, a cost too heavy for any nation to bear, and yet somehow Ukraine endures it every day. Imagine a child no older than 10 who has never known a day without fear. A boy named Maxim in Kharkiv says, "I hear the sirens even when they're not real. I close my eyes, but I still see the red flashes in the sky." He speaks softly from a dimly lit subway station, converted into a bomb shelter where families have taken refuge for months on end. Maxim's story is not unique. Psychologists across Ukraine report rising cases of night terrors, anxiety disorders, and panic attacks in children who have never held a toy without keeping one eye on the nearest shelter door. For adults, the trauma is no less severe. Yulia, a school teacher in Dnipro, recounts the strain of trying to create normalcy in the abnormal. "I teach math underground now. We do equations while the walls tremble above us. But what's harder is pretending I'm not afraid. My students watch my face like it's a weather report. If I look calm, they feel safe. But inside, I'm always trembling. The constant state of emergency alters brain chemistry. Living in a war zone for months on end trains the human body to remain in survival mode. Cortisol levels skyrocket, sleep becomes fragile, and hypervigilance replaces rest. Ukrainian mental health professionals are working day and night, often without pay, to stem the invisible wounds of war. In Kyiv alone, psychiatric clinics have seen a 300% increase in civilian appointments since the war began. People who never imagined they'd need help are now clinging to mental health lifelines just to get through another day. And yet, the world must understand this psychological battle has familiar echoes. For American veterans, these stories resonate deeply. The mental scars of Iraq, Afghanistan, and Vietnam have shown us what war does not just to the body, but to the soul. According to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, 20% of Operation Iraqi Freedom veterans suffer from PTSD in a given year. These numbers mirror the growing mental health epidemic now emerging in Ukraine. The battlefield may differ, but the emotional wreckage is heartbreakingly similar. This parallel should not be taken lightly. American soldiers, like Ukrainian civilians, know what it feels like to wake up in terror and go to sleep uncertain. They know the haunting silence between blasts, the gut punch of survivors' guilt, the fear that normalcy may never return. When American viewers hear Zelensky's words, when they see grainy footage of yet another apartment block turned to ash, they must understand that this isn't someone else's tragedy. This is a mirror held up to our own history, a reminder of what war does, not just to cities, but to people. One of the most harrowing aspects of this psychological toll is its invisibility. Broken buildings are easy to photograph. Wounded bodies are counted in hospital reports. But broken minds, they bleed quietly, they suffer in silence, and they don't disappear when the war ends. The trauma of this war will linger long after the bombs stop falling. It will whisper through generations, passed down in stories, flinches, and sleepless nights. But even in this darkness, there is resilience. In Lviv, a mobile mental health unit travels from village to village, offering therapy in converted vans. In Kiev, volunteers have set up helplines for veterans, mothers, and children. International partnerships, including with American mental health NGOs, are offering training to Ukrainian psychologists and sending trauma counselors to the most affected regions. Hope, though fragile, is being constructed from compassion. As America supports Ukraine with missiles and armor, it must also extend its hand in healing. Because healing isn't just about rebuilding what was destroyed, it's about restoring what was shattered inside. Every missile intercepted is a life saved. But every therapy session, every conversation, every gesture of empathy, that's a soul saved. The psychological cost of war is immense. But if history has taught us anything, it's that the human spirit, though fragile, is also profoundly unbreakable. And in Ukraine today, that spirit is proving once again that even under the weight of the heaviest burdens, it can still raise NATO's technological power vis Russian artillery. A 21st century battle of machines in the Russia-Ukraine war, a new chapter of modern warfare is being written not with muskets or bayonets, not even with tanks alone, but with satellites, drones, algorithms, and AI-guided missiles. This isn't just a clash of armies anymore. It's a brutal and high-stakes showdown between old Soviet-style artillery dominance and NATO's cutting-edge military technology, and the results are reshaping not just the battlefield, but the very nature of war itself. From the beginning of the invasion, Russia leaned heavily into its legacy strategy: massive artillery shelling, indiscriminate missile strikes, and brute force bombardment of cities. Its doctrine, largely unchanged since the Cold War, is built on the idea that overwhelming firepower can conquer territory and break morale. And for a while, it seemed effective. Towns were leveled. Ukrainian forces were pushed back. Civilian lives were shattered. But as NATO countries began to respond with advanced technological assistance, the tide began to shift quietly but powerfully. One of the most game-changing developments has been the deployment of U.S. Patriot missile systems and German IRIS-T surface-to-air systems, which are now defending key Ukrainian cities. These systems are not just reactive, they're predictive, using radar-guided AI algorithms to identify, track, and intercept enemy projectiles with stunning precision. Just last month, a major Russian missile attack aimed at Kyiv was largely neutralized when 19 out of 21 incoming hypersonic Kinjal missiles were destroyed mid-air, a feat previously considered impossible. Ukrainian officials credit this success to real-time NATO intel and the AI coordination of defense systems that could track multiple vectors simultaneously, a direct counter to Russia's volume-based assault strategy. But it's not just about missile defense. Offensive intelligence gathering has evolved too, thanks to US and British drone surveillance equipped with artificial intelligence. These drones, many of them small, agile, and capable of flying undetected, are changing how battle is done. Rather than relying on human scouts or satellites alone, Ukrainian commanders now use AI, analyze drone footage to predict Russian troop movements, identify ambush locations, and even anticipate artillery strikes before they occur. In early June, Ukrainian drone operators using US-supplied RQ-20 Puma drones discovered a concealed Russian S-300 missile system hiding in a wooded area near Kherson. The drone captured infrared and visual data that was instantly fed into a NATO-connected AI targeting system, which matched the signature to known Russian hardware. Within minutes, a precision-guided HIMARS strike destroyed the site before it could launch a single missile. That kind of real-time warfare, where detection, analysis, decision, and action happen in under 10 minutes, is something Russia's old-style command structure simply cannot match. The technological edge is also visible in artillery duels. Traditionally, artillery warfare is a numbers game. Whoever can fire more shells wins. But NATO's assistance has flipped the formula. With the arrival of M777 howitzers fitted with Excalibur GPS-guided shells, Ukraine can now hit Russian bunkers with pinpoint accuracy from over 40 kilometers away, often with just a single round. Where Russia needs 20 shells to disable a target, Ukraine needs only one. This isn't just efficient, it's strategically lethal. It allows Ukraine to save resources while inflicting maximum damage on the invaders. AI is even helping with battlefield logistics. NATO-based systems now help Ukraine calculate the safest and most efficient routes for moving ammunition, food, and medics across dangerous terrain. This optimization cuts down supply times, avoids ambush zones, and keeps frontline troops supported in ways that Russia's disorganized and corruption-ridden supply chains can't compete with. And let's not forget the power of electronic warfare. USD-made jamming equipment has been disrupting Russian drones and communication networks, blinding enemy eyes in the sky. In the Battle of Bakhmut, Ukrainian soldiers used American-made LQ-99 jamming pods to disable Russian drone surveillance for 48 hours straight, giving ground forces the window they needed to execute a successful counteroffensive. Every battlefield is now a test lab. Ukraine, supported by NATO, is not just surviving, it is outmaneuvering. And the biggest reason, agility through technology. Russia relies on hierarchy and volume. NATO relies on precision and data. That difference is becoming more apparent with each passing month of war. This war has shown the world something profound. The future of conflict belongs to those who adapt fastest, not those who strike hardest. And Ukraine, with its deep collaboration with NATO allies, is proving that AI-powered decision-making, real-time reconnaissance, and next-gen weapon systems can do more than defend. They can redefine victory itself. So while Russia continues to fire blindly into the dark, Ukraine and its allies are using light from data, intelligence, and innovation to navigate a path toward freedom. This isn't just a battle of nations anymore. It's a technological revolution playing out one drone, one missile, one algorithm at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are witnessing is not just another chapter in global conflict. It's a defining moment of this century, a moment when missiles fell but spirits rose, when explosions tried to deafen hope but were answered by unity, strength, and resolve. Zelensky's words, deliberately massive, are more than a condemnation. They are a call to attention, a signal flare to every free nation, every defender of liberty, that tyranny still wears many faces, and all of them must be confronted. As the war stretches on, so too does the courage of Ukraine, and with America, NATO, and much of the free world standing shoulder to shoulder, one truth becomes louder than every siren: freedom will not be silenced.